In this video, we will be discussing chapter number 12, Personality Map of Child Psychology, Part A. So, here, what is personality map? So, personality is a set of behavior is being continuously practicing the same set of behaviors over a period of time. Then we can say a personality is framed. So, in general, there is a simple equation to understand what is personality map. The simplest equation is for a personality to form, first we have to choose our thoughts wisely because from thoughts where actions are born. From actions, it leads to habits. When you are performing same kind of actions every day, that becomes your habit in a due course of time. Then your habit becomes your behavior, and that behavior becomes your character, and finally your personality. So this is how personality is framed. So what here means, see, if you have thoughts, you can easily change. There are various thoughts coming, you can change your thought and act accordingly. So once or twice, even if your action is wrong, you can correct it. Your habit is wrong, you can correct it. You have an opportunity. When your behavior is wrong, of course, it is not easily you can correct it, but taking some effort, you can correct it. But once personality is framed, it's very difficult to change. So what if bad personality is changed? It requires lot of efforts from the side of psychologists and people who guide you should take great effort to change your personality, and especially when the personality is framed after 18 years, it's generally set at, it's like a set concrete. Of course you can change your personality, but definitely it will leave some damages in you. So it is better, meticulous steps has to be taken in framing our personality. We should not be very careless in framing our personality. And when does the personality frame it begins its journey? Well, it begins its journey well before we become aware of ourselves. That is before the formation of ego, before the formation of self-awareness itself, this personality, starts developing. So what to do, ma'am? Generally, they say, especially young children, the people who are taking care of young children should be aware of how to develop a good personality in them, and so measures has to be taken by the people who are responsibly looking after the children. Okay, now first let's see. There are two main factors is being discussed at first in framing our personality. As of hereditary and environment, they are giving different names here called biological and social. Biological is through the genes that we inherit from our parents. There are certain set of information in that. Accordingly, our personality is framed. So, what did I tell you in the class in the discussion of hereditary and environment one? The information contains the intensity or the frequency of the secretion of the hormones. So that hormones is nothing but the chemicals, and that chemicals only are controlling our emotions. So what if frequently if I'm getting angry, because that the hormone which is responsible for my anger is extremely secreted within my body. So it is not that you will remain the same forever. You have to take measures to control the production of such hormone by means of meditation and concentrating on good things. Definitely you can overcome it. So you should know what is your genetic makeup. So if you have any problems in that, definitely you can fix it if you're really concerned and taking proper measures to overcome it. So likewise, they say personality also, if you're having any negative personality that has been inherited from our parents, it is not needlessly that you have to remain same. Definitely by taking proper corrective measures, we can change our personality, but it requires some effort. And social means from the environment, how your personality is framed, kind of where you are born, how you are brought up, your culture, your parent-child relationship, identification with parents, misbehavior of parents, interrelations of parents, your birth order, which child you are, the first child, second child, third child. Accordingly, your behavior also gets framed, they say. Your school, your teachers, your peer group, society, so and so, and your culture. So these are the factors that are available in the environment, which is called as social, helps you in framing your behavior. Then coming to the stages, we have seen what are these stages, ma'am, in growth pattern. It is infancy, childhood, adolescence, so on. So what here he says, The behaviors that are gathered during infancy, childhood, adolescence, which behaviors plays a very important role in framing a personality. Generally, they say maybe adolescence or childhood, but we totally ignore this infancy. But what psychologist says is totally different from our opinion. What did they say? They are telling that the behaviors that we have gathered in childhood, that is sorry, in infancy, well below 7 year, 0 to 7 years, whatever information or the behaviors that you observed from the people around you, what that really helps you in framing your own personality in your later years, it seems. Maybe I am 37 now. I may not be aware of the behaviors that I have gathered when I was in infancy, but yet what they say that would definitely bring an impact in me, unknowingly or knowingly, that would have impacted me, and that information is entered into my unconscious mind. Whereas even in later years, adolescent or childhood, at times the information that we gather will only enter our subconscious mind, but the information gathered during the period of infancy would have entered our unconscious mind, and so it directly or indirectly influences our making of choices. So based on that only you make your choices, and accordingly your personality is framed, which was earlier not accepted by the people. So this theory was put forth by a psychologist called Sigmund Freud. So he himself has contributed immensely to this field of child psychology. He's a doctor who has completed his medicine, and then only out of keen interest he would learn about psychology, and he has submitted great research papers on about psychology, because he had a he one of his child was suffering from some mental disorder, so he tried to fix it. For that only he learned so many aspects of psychology, but finally he cannot cure his own child's disease. The child would commit suicide at the age of 14 or 13, and she will die. So he wanted to stop this mental disorder, people hurting themselves due to depression and stress. And so, in order to fix that problem, he has contributed immensely to the field of psychology. So, one study, the very first attraction towards psychology, he got it by means of this experience. What experience, ma'am? He is a general doctor, as I told you. So, every day he sees patients. Patients would be coming to him. So, diagnosing their problems, he would give them medicines. One day, two of the patients came with the same disorder, calling headache. So, he studied their symptoms and found out both are suffering from same headache. So he gave them same set of medicines, asking them to eat it and come again after a week's time. So only one patient revisited the doctor, telling that he is not yet cured. What about the other patient? He when the doctor asked that patient, he said, "No, I'm cured of my headache. Thank you, doctor." But this patient was not cured. Then doctor started thinking, "What's wrong with my treatment? The same medicine have treated that patient, and why this medicine has not treated this patient?" He was thinking. And then likewise he is making a study out of all the patients who are revisiting him after giving proper medicines. Why are they revisiting? Why it is not getting cured? And finally he analyzing his research, he understood that most of the patients who arrive at the end of the day, especially during night times, they are the ones who are revisiting the doctor. The one who comes in the morning hours, or when he initially, he begins his practice, at that time they are coming, they don't visit him. They are those patients' problems are mostly solved. Then he thinks, why is it so? Why people who are coming at the last moment of my day are not being cured? Then he realizes, because he is not conversing anything with the patients, he get extremely tired in seeing the patients in the last hours, and so seeing the patient he only gives the medicine. But initially when he enters his clinic, the very first five patients, when they arrive, he speaks a lot of things. He shares so much of his experiences, and asks them also that where are you coming from, how are you, how many children you have, what profession you are, like other questions he asked the initially arriving patients, but by the end, after seeing so many patients in a day, he really get tired and he don't have time to speak to them other than their exact problems. So he says this communication or conversation with the patients that the doctor have is making the patients very comfortable, and it improves their belief in doctor, and along with medicine this belief also cures them easily. So it is not just the medicines for a patient who's not having that belief in their doctors. Even after taking proper medicines, their problems are not cured. So what he says, ma'am, he gives a new term for this conversation that should happen with the patient apart from their problems. It is called talking cure. Just simply talking to them itself will cure their disease, it seems. So these are all based on the belief that are happening in our mind. So only certain things are very physical, certain things are very abstract. So those things from abstract could be studied only with psychology, he says. And he believed in hypnosis and so on. Certain problems can be solved with the help of a treatment called hypnosis that also was put forth by Sigmund Freud. Okay, what does he say? So a small brief history is being given about Sigmund Freud. So what does it say, ma'am? What he says is that very first 7 years, the behaviors or things what the children observe, that will have a greater impact in their later years. For example, if the child's parents are having a troubled affair or simply they are fighting with each other, this child get an opportunity to observe that parents, troubled parents, most of the time, well below 7 years, this would have definitely created a great impact in child. And now the child is not being stressed or depressed. He is taking it, okay, no problem, my parents were not happy, okay, what for that is not my problem. That is what he says in his anecdote. But yet that child will not readily get into an another marriage for himself when he is old enough, because his bad observations from his parents would definitely will give him a negative impact about marriage and family, and so he would simply postpone him getting married. So these are the connections that he make from the children's observation and the decisions that they are going to take in their later years. I'm just giving you one example. So he says which all observations are very important right from birth. What the child observes plays a very important role in his decisions taken in later years in framing his personality. And so this was not initially accepted by most of the people, but in later years it was accepted. And he says when the child is not brought up by the mother in infancy, especially the very first 7 years, those children are always, mentally upset in their later years. For example, the children who are being brought up an orphan, or children who are meant to grow up with troubled parents, or they don't have parents or any one of the parent, definitely this will leave an impact in the child's mind, it seems, and this will reflect even after they are becoming adult, it seems. And he also explains about dream. So dreams, he says, there are two reasons for our dreams to come. One is our unfulfilled desires, which are present in our unconscious mind. So if you have very strong unfulfilled desires, that could be expressed in dream. And if we are passionate towards anything in our future, if that passion is very strong, that also comes in our dreams, it seems. So most of the thoughts that are present in our unconscious mind are connected towards the dream, according to Sigmund Freud. And he also says, discuss about basic tenets. What is this basic tenets, ma'am? Our opinion about life. When we are very joyful, when we have a pleasant what to say, a pleasant feeling about the life, then we wanted to live. What if we have a greater negative feeling about life? It leads to death instinct, and that is why when people are extremely unhappy, they are committing suicide, because for life instinct, the joy to live is very, very essential, and that is one of the basic instinct present, like hunger, happiness, love, affection, etc. To live also is a basic instinct, it seems. When we lose that instinct within us, then we will not feel like living, we will commit suicide. So psychologists can study whether we are having this instinct within us, that life instinct, or uh, we are losing that life instinct. That very well, after several counselings, they will find out and they will try to fix it. And one more thing, ma'am, considering this paper from exam point of view, this paper is not very important. It is generally few questions come only about Sigmund Freud, and the next psychologist is called as Jung, who continued with the papers of Sigmund Freud after his um, death. Ma'am. So very few questions. Most of the questions come from Sigmund Freud. Very few can come from Jung. That is Jung. The pronunciation is Jung. Ma'am. The later, the other personality types, you need not concentrate from exam point of view. Ma'am. So I will stop till Jung's personality theory, as other personalities are very confusing because many types are discussed here, which is very difficult for you to understand in one go. Now, Jung's personality theory, what does he say, ma'am? So he again says that he disagrees with one thing. What does he disagree, ma'am? That it is not only the very first 7 years are very important in our behavior, like Sigmund Freud said. He says no, it is also the childhood and adolescence. Those things, observations also are equally important in framing our personality. Then he gives an explanation about our mind. So our mind has three compartments. The very first compartment is called conscious mind, the next is subconscious mind and unconscious mind. More of the observations enters in our unconscious mind when we are much younger, and then our subconscious mind, and then our conscious mind. Our conscious mind is extremely small when compared to the size of our unconscious mind. So these are all told by Jangma. You can just have a reading. Then the later types are introverted sensorial, extroverted sensorial type, introverted feeling type, are all different types of personality. These categories are made by psychologists so that they can understand what kind of behavior you will exhibit. So if they say, for example, if they say you are an introverted sensorial type, what are introverts, ma'am? Who never communicate with others, they are happy with themselves. So introverted sensorial type, they are introvert as well as extremely sensitive. So that is called introverted sensorial type. So with few questions they interact with us, they will understand what kind of personality we have, whether it is introverted sensorial type or extroverted sensorial type, so on. And then they will try to fix our problems. For that, they have categorized this. So no questions will come from based on this typology of introverted sensorial or all that. So you can leave it. Now coming to the last page of this chapter, you have a small diagram where it shows. This diagram is helping us to understand our thoughts, ma'am. So our thought is normal. What does it mean, ma'am? We should not be suffering from depression. Cyclothermic depression means repeated depressions of the past. And schizothermic apathy, unwanted fear about the future. So our mind should be very clear. When if your mind is very normal, it should not have any great depression as well as fear about the future. That is depression of the past and fear about the future. You can have it, but in a very small very rarely you can have it in a small quantity like that. But predominantly, your mind should be very normal, planning about your day-to-day life. In that case, you see your mental health is very good and strong. What if you're frequently you think about the past, that too about the unpleasant things in the past, then you are suffering from a disorder called cyclothermic depression. Or your past is good. You are normally you behave very well, but you have a great fear about the future. And what will happen to my children? What will happen to my husband? How will my business will be in the future? Likewise, extremely you're talking about having a fear about your future, then you're suffering from a disorder called schizothermic apathy. So both has to be fixed. If you are normal, you have to make plans in your day-to-day life now. So this is how it should be. So with this chapter gets over. And next chapter will be school and child environment development now. Thank you.